What doctors usually recommend are 6 solutions to estrogen dominance. They say go on the pill or have an IUD, because when you do that, you will lower your symptoms. And absolutely, I've talked to many teenage girls, I've talked to plenty young women all the way up to menopause, and they are taking the pill or they have an IUD, which many times have a hormone in it, but especially the pill contains progestin. So when you sit in a doctor's office and you don't know much about hormones, and a doctor talks about progestins, you think he or she said progesterone. So you said, oh, yeah, interesting. Well, progestins are a synthetic form of progesterone. Why is that? Because medical doctors work with the pharmaceutical companies. And pharmaceutical companies are being told they can never extract something from Mother Nature and simply patent it. They have to, if they do extract something from Mother Nature, they now need to create a synthetic form of that they can patent. And once they have that patent, they can make trillions of tablets. It doesn't matter. They have that taken care of. So the progestins, and sometimes even certain estrogens, synthetic estrogens they put in there, they have a tendency to kind of scramble these natural estrogens so that they're not the tomboys. But now you don't have the natural estrogen effects. And I've talked to plenty of women who say, well, my symptoms improved, but I still had them. And so they were not happy with that. And when I tell them to try the progesterone, they are noticing a difference. Now, I want to say right off the bat, I also have met plenty of women who work with a doctor who gives them progesterone in a capsule. And I know that it's very convenient. You just pop a pill. That could be 100 milligram, it could be 200 milligram, but what I have learned from Dr. Platt, Michael Platt, is that he says the molecules are too large to make it through the stomach and then in the intestines and go into the bloodstream. He said they're too large. You won't get the absorption that you would get out of taking a cream, a topical cream. So my recommendation to everybody is please try the cream and put it on your forearms, and we'll tell you that in a little bit more, so that you actually get the absorption and that you start seeing the effects, positive effects, within 7 minutes. I would say 7 minutes. Doesn't have to take much longer than that, at least from what I've experienced and what I've seen happening right in front of my eyes when I would work with women and we apply the cream on their forearms. So when you work with a medical doctor, he says, well, we got to lower the estrogens because the estrogens are dominating your progesterone, and so now we need to lower your symptoms. So by scrambling the estrogens, you don't have that effect. So number one, they say, let's go on the pill or an IUD and see if that helps. Number two, they say, get pregnant. Get pregnant? Why is that? Well, when you're pregnant, you don't ovulate for, let's say, 12, 13 months. You're pregnant. When you deliver the baby, and now you have some breastfeeding, and many times women don't ovulate for 3, 4 months after they deliver the baby, it is almost like resetting a computer. When you reset your computer, they often say, well, they don't say reset it. They say there is a new program that needs to be downloaded. So they say reset your computer, turn it off, turn it back on, and everything just falls into place. It's kind of like that with the human body. If you take a break from something, you give the body a chance to reset. And there are many women, and I know with my wife, the first baby, she had never had a problem, but then between the first and the second, she started having actually more issues because all of a sudden everything was fine, but when you reset it, maybe you create this in the next time around. So maybe that's why some families said, 10 kids. They thought, that was pretty cool. Let's do that again. I don't know. I'm not sticking my hand in the fire for that one, but that would be a possibility. The third option, they say, is wait until you go into menopause, because then your ovaries are empty. You don't make that pesky estrogen again. Why would we call it pesky? It does what it does. We just need to help it a little bit. So when you're in menopause, you don't make the hormones anymore, so no more pesky estrogen, and then you're going to be fine. Well, talk to women in menopause. There are plenty of them who start having all kinds of other issues then, which we can talk about. Then they recommend that if you have PCOS, ovarian cysts, when you have fibroids or a fibroid in the uterus, or when you have endometriosis, and endometriosis means blood vessels that usually when you are ovulating, the blood vessels are growing in the uterus, getting ready for an egg that is fertilized by sperm to land in that in those blood vessels, layer of blood. And if that didn't happen and the egg lands without being fertilized, then the hatch opens up and the blood comes out, and then women have their period. But when there is pregnancy, then the egg is saved, and now you start to have the multiplication of the egg, and eventually that turns into a fetus. But what happens with endometriosis is that the blood vessels are not contained on the inside only of your uterus, but also they start growing on the outside. And so for 2 weeks, these blood vessels grow. Then women have a period, and so the growth stops. 2 weeks later, you start ovulating again, and you start growing again more. So there are women, many young girls, even in the early 20s, who have endometriosis and have severe issues. So what doctors say, well, why don't we just do some cleanup surgery? We go in, we clip those ovaries, take those cysts off, we clean out the endometriosis, we clean out the fibroid, and you're good to go. In other words, what they're saying is, you've had this problem since birth, we're here to save the day, we're going to clean it up, and you're going to be fine. No. The reason why this happens, and again, these are symptoms, they're not a disease. It happens because of the imbalance between your estrogen and your progesterone. And if you are prone to having endometriosis or a cyst or a fibroid, you will get those, or if you do get them, it is because of the imbalance in hormones. So if you clean up through surgery any of these, and you don't fix the reason why it happened, which is the imbalance, right? Then the next time around, even you'll feel good for a few cycles because it's been cleaned up, they start growing again because you didn't deal with the problem, which is bring more chaperones to the field trip so you don't have the problems. That is an expensive surgery. And women will suffer through this for years, and many times they have to do several cleanup surgeries. The fifth solution, so we've done the pill and IUD, get pregnant, wait till menopause, cleanup surgery. The fifth one is, well, you're not going to have any more children. Why don't we just clean it all up, give you a hysterectomy? And when they remove the ovaries with the hysterectomy, then you really have an issue because now you hit menopause right away. So many times doctors try to save the ovaries, so now you still have your ovulation, so to say, until menopause. You still may have some emotional things, but you won't have the endometriosis, the cysts, or the fibroids. Is that ideal? I don't know. There are times when I say to women, your fibroid, the size of a grapefruit, or the size of a small melon, it's unbelievable, some women suffer a lot. It may be better to have the surgery. I'm not saying don't do surgery. I don't even say to women when they have endometriosis or a cyst to not have surgery. But when you do the surgery, make sure you start adding progesterone to your daily regimen, or at least every other week of 2 weeks in, the 14 days, so 14 period, ovulation, menstruation again. So in this section between your ovulation and menstruation, start using the progesterone so that you balance these hormones. So now there is a hysterectomy. And women come back after a few years and tell the doctor, I'm gaining weight, I feel miserable, I have no energy, my hair is falling out, I just have no libido, I just can't believe what's going on with me. And the doctor goes, well, wait a second, we did everything we could to try to balance your hormones because you told us kind of that it was your hormones. So we took care of everything and we removed the guilty party. So why are you still complaining? Maybe you're just a hypochondriac. Maybe it's all in your head. And so the sixth solution is put women on antidepressants. And to me, when I have listened over the decades to women who are exactly going through these stages and who are now on antidepressants and still feel miserable, to me it's so disrespectful. It really is. It's so disrespectful to simply ignore the fact that it had to do with hormones. And we could have balanced those hormones and live a quality life.